Hello there, and welcome to LoreDive, where we look into and analyze the stories behind all of our favorite video games. Today we are going into the latest paragraph of Dead by Daylight, Hellraiser, with its sole addition being its new killer, the Cenobite. Pinhead, the Cenobite. There are many mysteries that exist beyond this world. The entity itself is proof enough of that. In a realm hidden past where most mortals would even dare attempt to look, lies the playground of Leviathan, Lord of the Labyrinth. While some may refer to this place as Hell, its true purpose and nature is more complex. A realm where pain and pleasure mix in an exquisite ecstasy of blood. Leviathan rules over the flesh in this realm, along with his small army of devoted followers, whether they be willing or otherwise. Here resides the Cenobites, demons to some, angels to others. These minions are explorers of the furthest regions of experience, indulging in the limitless thrill of pleasure and pain. For most, there is no chance they would end up in Leviathan's realm. However, that doesn't mean there isn't a way to get there. Multiple items exist that allow for entrance into the labyrinth, the most well-known of which is the Lament configuration. Those with a desire for pleasure, with a desire for pain, with a desire to know. This box was placed into the world specifically so that they could find their way into Leviathan's domain. And of course, as human beings are curious in nature, it was only a matter of time before someone found it and reaped its delicious rewards. They opened the box. And so he came, one of Leviathan's most fervent followers, shaped like a man with pale gray skin, body mutilated through many tortures. He stands indifferent to it all. Those who survived or were allowed to leave his presence all call him the same name, Pinhead. But like most who serve under Leviathan, Pinhead was not always this way. He once was simply a man. Captain Elliot Spencer served in World War I. Horrified and disillusioned by mankind's cruelty, he lost faith in humanity, in God. As such, he fell into a hedonistic lifestyle, dipping into every pleasure he could find, before he came across the Lament configuration. Solving its riddle, his soul was found to be worthy by Leviathan, and he was put through the transformation. Changed from a man, he was tortured, teased, and shown all the pleasures that straddle that line, eventually losing his memory of what he used to be, and instead, Pinhead was born. He continued this existence, providing those whose desire called to him and his gash the pleasures of their realm. But he did not do so recklessly. If one did not desire them, or were forced into opening the box against their will, he and his gash would refuse them, as it must be their curiosity, their desire, that leads them to the realm of his master. Such was the case of Frank Cotton, a destructive hedonist who had indulged in every manner he could think of, including bedding with his brother's own wife, Julia. His suffering was immeasurable, but through circumstance, he managed to escape back into the mortal world, but not fully formed. With the help of his sister-in-law/lover, he began to kill men in order to rejuvenate his body. His plans were, however, halted when his niece Kirsty found him and stole the Lament configuration. Not knowing what it was, Kirsty managed to solve the box, and sensing her desire to know what was happening, Pinhead and his gash appeared, informing her that her prize for solving the configuration was a one-way ticket to the labyrinth with them. Kirsty, however, had information that they weren't aware of, and informed them of Frank's escape, offering for them to take him instead of her. Though the Cenobites did not immediately accept, they did allow her to leave so that she could lead them back to him. Upon her arrival back, Frank had gone even further into his depraved desire to regain himself, skinning his brother, Kirsty's father, Julia's husband, and wearing his skin, before turning on Julia, inadvertently allowing her to be taken by the Cenobites. Once they were able to confirm that Frank was who Kirsty said he was, they were more than happy to take him back with them, and though they wished to take Kirsty too, she reverted the lament configuration back to its original setting, sending them all back to the labyrinth. Mere days later, Kirsty found herself in a mental institution, placed there by those who wished to learn what happened to her father and stepmother. Though Kirsty's tale was largely ignored by police, it had intrigued one Dr. Chambard, who wished to solve the mysteries of life, and through unethical practices, managed to accidentally revive Julia from the dead. Julia regained her form through many sacrifices, before using a mute teenaged girl with a penchant for solving puzzles as a way to reopen another configuration and the gate to the labyrinth. There, Julia would reveal all to Chambard and give him to the Leviathan. He wanted to know. Now he knows. And thus he was turned into a new Cenobite directly connected to and empowered by Leviathan itself. Due to reasons of her own, Kirsty made her way back to the labyrinth as well, where she was reunited with Pinhead and his cronies. But Kirsty had new information to give them, information that would change them. She revealed that all of them had once been human, and that Leviathan had wiped their memories, changing them into the Cenobites that they now are. The Cenobites chose to side against their former master, attempting to protect Kirsty. Though they were no match for a Cenobite directly empowered by Leviathan, and each would fall to its might, even Pinhead. But not even that kept Pinhead down permanently. Eventually he would be resurrected by Leviathan, and would in return restore two of his gash back to life, the Chatterer and the female Cenobite, where they all would serve their purpose once again, but with new knowledge of who and what they were. Then, a lament configuration ended up in a new place, a place outside of the realms that the Cenobites usually find themselves. A realm of hope and despair. It was only a matter of time before it fell into curious hands, and once open, he arrived. What comes next is the sweet suffering that will spill over the entity's realm. The Cenobite's power is Summons of Pain. With Summons of Pain, the Cenobite will be able to open a portal in order to summon his trademark chains to hook them onto survivors. When using the portal, his consciousness will be transferred to the hook itself, and will follow it as he hurls it at a survivor. If a survivor is hit, 3 passive chains will hook them in place, slowing them down until they are broken. Afterwards, the Cenobite will regain consciousness in their body. If the Cenobite has created a portal and decides to not use the hook, he can cancel out of the ability. The second part of Summons of Pain has to do with the copy of the Lament configuration that comes into play in any trial that the Cenobite is a part of. The Lament configuration does not act the same as it does in the mortal world. This Lament configuration will cause a passive gauge to fill up on all survivors. If this chain gauge is full, a chain hunt begins, and all survivors affected by it will begin having chains passively spawn and try to hook them, preventing them from doing most actions until they are broken. Under most circumstances, all survivors will see where the configuration is and will be able to locate and pick it up. If a survivor picks up the box, the chain gauge will pause for everyone who does not have the Lament configuration. The person who does hold it will become oblivious, and chains will periodically appear to attack them even if their chain gauge is not full. At this point, the survivor can attempt to solve the configuration. Solving it will reset the chain gauge and despawn the box for a period of time. However, while the survivor is solving the box, the Cenobite has the opportunity to teleport directly to them. If the Cenobite chooses to teleport to the box, the chain gauge will reset as if the survivor had completed it. The Cenobite can also find the box themselves, though they have no indication of where it is. If the Cenobite picks up the box, the chain hunt will begin immediately. If a survivor manages to escape the procedural with the box in their hand, it will not respawn again for that trial. The Cenobite's first perk is Deadlock. Pinhead can induce mental suffering, crushing any hopes of escape. Whenever a generator is completed, the entity will block off the generator with the most progression for a period of time. The aura of this blocked generator is shown in white. The Cenobite's second perk is Hex, Plaything. The Cenobite brings a hex that toys with his victim's suffering. If there is at least one dull totem in the trial, Hex Plaything activates on a random totem each time a survivor is hooked for the first time. During this time, the survivor suffers from the Oblivious status effect until Hex Plaything is cleansed. For the first 90 seconds that this hex is in play, only the survivor whom the hex belongs to can cleanse it. The aura of this totem will also be revealed to this survivor when they are within a certain distance of it. The Cenobite's final perk is Scourge Hook, Gift of Pain. The Cenobite is no stranger to instruments of pain, and can make some improvements to the entity's hooks. With Gift of Pain, 4 random hooks are changed into Scourge Hooks. The aura of these hooks are shown to the Cenobite in white. When a survivor is unhooked from a Scourge Hook, they are given the Mangled and Hemorrhage status effect. Upon being healed, the survivor will suffer from an action speed penalty to both healing and repairing until they are injured again. The Cenobite now invites the survivors to taste his unique pleasures, but this calling may have not been answered by him alone. After all, he is but one of many, and they all have such sights to show you.
Not leaving us so soon, are you?
That's it for this paragraph of Dead by Daylight. This is the first one where I've only had one character to talk about, so it's a little shorter than usual. Special thanks to my following patrons, Cornick, Jack Freeman, and JTG, as every little bit helps me when making these videos. If you would also like to help keep these videos going and fight off the dreaded YouTube algorithm, you can do so by following the links down below. If you can't, I completely understand. Liking and subscribing, if you haven't already, also goes a long way. Despite my spotty schedule recently, I do have quite a few things I'm working on, so I hope you'll stick around for those coming up, including a retrospective that not even I really expected to do. If you'd also like to catch me whenever I stream on Twitch, you can do so by using the link down below. I haven't been able to in the past month due to my new job, but I'm hoping to get back in the swing of things soon. With that said, I wanted to thank you all for watching, and I'll see you next time.